let's talk more about this rare syndrome. As joining us today in the studio is general practitioner at MMC Hospital, Dr. Nasya Safira. Thank you for joining us here today, Dr. Nasya.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nasya. So this is the first time actually I've ever heard of the
Same.
stiff person syndrome. Well, when a person experiences SPS, what does it do to their body?
Okay.
What happens to their body? What happens to their brain because it's neurological?
Okay, so this SPS or stiff person syndrome is a neurological disorder that the condition is when your body gets the stiffness. The first initial symptoms you get the stiffness at the trunk, at the abdomen, as it slowly progresses until your legs, arm, and face. And it's a neurological disorder that's connected to the autoimmune disorder.
Right. So what is the cause of SPS? And when you talk about autoimmune, I think of stress usually.
Okay, so the causes of this SPS or stiff person syndrome is unfortunately is still unknown disease, and it's not clear. The scientists or the researchers have not yet been discovered to happen with this. Yeah, but the scientists believe that autoimmune is take a part of this case. So the autoimmune condition is where your immune system attack your heart cells. And in this case, this stiff person syndrome, in our central nervous system, we have a specific enzyme. We call it GAD. GAD. Then GAD is a produced neurotransmitters called GABA, and GABA is for the take control of our movement, take control to the motor neuron. So once your immune system mistakenly attack the GAD enzyme, we cannot produce GABA. Yeah, so there's no take to control of the movement.
Oh gosh.
So, yeah, very unique and rare, as we mentioned. And since it's so rare and we seem to know very little about it, how do we know who is at risk for this?
Who is that risk? The reason? This is an extremely rare disease. Maybe the population or the case is one out of a million people. One in a million people have been diagnosed with this case. Or the incidence is just 1 until 2 cases per million per year. So extremely rare disease. And in age, yeah, it occurs at any age. But most patients between this case is until 30 until 60 years old.
30 to 60.
Yes, and probably a woman take risks 2 until 3 times more often get treatment.
Why is that?
The reason is still poorly understood, but maybe because the autoimmune disorder take a part of it, and in the based on data, the general are the autoimmune disorders is probably more often with in a woman than man.
Is that true? Because on a personal basis, I do know female friends that have autoimmune disorder. So it is more common among women.
Yes, it's more common in a woman, maybe 2 or 3 times more.
Oh my gosh, I'm not pleased. So can this be treated or managed?
Okay, unfortunately, this disease cannot be cured. It's incurable.
Okay.
So the focus
is it a degenerative disease then, or?
Not generative disease. Is there maybe an autoimmune disease and cannot be cured because we never know the causes. Yeah, the causes is still researched, and so the focus or the goal of treatment is manage the symptoms.
Right.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
Manage the symptoms. We can use the medication. So this symptoms is stiffness, yeah. So we can give the medication like muscle relaxant or anti-anxieties, yeah. Okay, we do the non-medication things like physical therapy, acupuncture. Yeah. So we just manage the symptoms to make patient comfort and doing activity like normal.
And how does it go then? If somebody has stiff person syndrome, it's not curable. What are they looking at here? What's the outlook for them? Can they still live a fairly comfortable and a longer life as long as you manage the symptoms? Or how does it usually, or what is usually the lifespan of somebody that has
Okay, so the prognosis of the mortality of this case is not, the mortality is not elevated, yeah, but the prognosis depends on the symptoms and depends of the response of their therapy. Yeah.
Okay, so the severity of it as well will all be taken into consideration.
Wow. Wow, I'm just still trying to process everything.
So what do we need to look out for then? Because, okay, obviously it's a very scary thing. However, it's very rare, but we still need to look for signs. So what are some of the early signs that we should look out for?
Okay, early signs. So basically, this case is attached to your central nervous system, yeah, motor neuron. So maybe the symptoms like you get first stiffness, and the initial after the first symptoms, basically the stiffness gets on your trunk and abdomen. It's the first. So early signs you have to know, or you may take a concern, or you may awareness when you get stiff at your trunk and abdomen. Yeah, you may take a concern of that.
When you say stiff, it's basically like you have difficulty moving.
Is it like cramp?
Yeah, it's
Does
like
it feel like
cramps,
cramp?
and you feel like stiffness. You cannot move your body at all.
That's really weird.
It's just there. It's occurred maybe minutes, maybe second, or maybe an hour.
Really? Okay, so
Wow,
it can
an
happen in
hour.
intervals then, right? You feel it coming and going kind of thing. Ooh, that's really scary stuff.
I know. Is it preventable? Stiff person syndrome? Can we prevent it?
Because we don't know the causes of the exactly, so we cannot prevent it. But we know that this case, this species has correctly to the autoimmune disease and also malignancy. So we can prevent to avoid the autoimmune disease
How do we
just
prevent that?
You prevent of lifestyle modification, you healthy life, you eating a balance of meal, you do exercise regularly, and manage stress level.
Manage stress
Ooh,
level.
it always goes back to that, doesn't it? I mean, it's always
Absolutely.
stress plays a factor in everything. So you mentioned about how, well, actually, you mentioned that we can identify it if you start having some of these symptoms. But how do you, as a medical professional, diagnose it? Because some of these symptoms sound very similar or overlapping with other things. For example, multiple sclerosis.
Yes.
I had a friend's parent that had that, and it's similar.
Yes, it's true. This SPS is the symptoms is really similar with other neurological disorders like multiple sclerosis, like Parkinson's,
Parkinson's, correct.
or Guillain-Barré syndrome is similar. Yeah, so we can differential diagnosis. But as a health provider, we need to do some examination to diagnose the SPS. It's such a blood test. The blood test and electromyography is a machine that you can measure your electrical activity on your muscles. And maybe the gold standard to diagnose this case is with the lumbar puncture. So it's like you puncture the spinal fluid.
Yes.
Oh.
To check.
To check what
Is that painful, doctor?
Yeah,
I heard
but
it's
you got the
very
anesthesia.
painful, by the way. Anything
heard
to
of
do with your
that.
spinal cord.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there anything that you also want to share on SPS that we haven't asked, doctor, that you think is important for our audience to know?
Yeah, because it's a extremely rare disease. Yeah, maybe there's some people is cannot what to do then. But just you have to take a symptom if you get some stiffness or your muscle spasms, and it cannot be prevented, or you feel that you consume anything, but that's only that you can go to the doctor to get their advice. So we can do the examination, and so we can diagnose since early.
That's really scary because I exercise quite a bit, and my exercise involves lifting weights, like weight resistance.
Sometimes
I get little spasms, right? And you know, you always think, oh, I'm just twitching because I probably exercised a bit too much yesterday. So again, some of these symptoms, you don't know how to interpret them because it
Do you
can be-
do a regular yearly checkup, Paul?
I do not. I'm very embarrassed to say that in front of by the way. I know I
I
should.
try to.
should.
I
Yeah, I
try
know, I
to.
should be
You know,
more
just to scan and check everything.
I always say I'm going to do it, and then it's almost next year already. So there you go.
Aw.
I'll do it this year.
Okay.
Promise.
All right.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you
Doc.
so much for everything. Thank you.
so
We hope we can learn more about stiff
Thank
person
you.
syndrome in
Yeah.
years as well, so we can understand it and learn how to perhaps cure it one day.
Indeed. Now we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we'll bring you what's making headlines around the globe. Stay with us on the C Morning Show.